right, hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar with myself, Greta Wall. I'm your host, and I'm here today with David Prince, the leader of T3 Live's Inner Circle virtual trading floor. Let's just quickly get through some disclosures for today's event. Again, David is the leader of the Inner Circle, and we're going to be discussing today his trading, or what he's doing for the end of summer, his plan for the weeks ahead. We have a lot of big things still to come just this week, and then big news coming up in the next few weeks. So lots of trading catalysts ahead. And so we want to get David's insight and what he's planning for, so you guys can hopefully follow along. Everyone be sure to say hi in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from. Submit any questions you have for David as we go through. We will try to get to as many of those as possible before the end of our time here. So again, our agenda today, we will be introducing you to who David Prince is, what the Inner Circle virtual trading floor is, to show you how the community has been doing, and then we're getting his game plan from here. We are past the CPI and the PPI, but there's still more news to come tomorrow with what some are saying is probably the biggest number of the week. Nvidia earnings are still coming, lots of focus on the Fed. So lots to come. All right, so quickly about David Prince, who he is, and Inner Circle. David was formerly a nightclub owner back in the 90s. He's been in the financial space since the late 90s, around 97. Managed a hedge fund, helped put SPACs on the map, and then in 2020, he partnered with us here at T3 to create the Inner Circle virtual trading floor. Now, what is the Inner Circle VTF? Well, this is an exclusive trading room and community for large accounts, hedge fund managers, family office heads, corporate executives, financial advisors, pro traders, more. There are some requirements to be part of David's community, and this isn't to exclude anyone, but this is really to protect you as a trader. You do need to have a minimum account size of around $100,000 or more and at least 2 years of experience. And again, that's to protect you as a trader. The trades that they're taking in this room, you can't necessarily always take advantage of them if you have that smaller account size. You might be putting yourself too far at risk with a smaller account size. And then to really understand what's happening, having that experience is important. Do you agree with that, David?
Yeah, absolutely. It's more just about so it fits, what is best for someone else, not just about whether it's good for us, it's whether we're good for them.
Right, definitely. So it's not an exclusionary thing. It's really to help you. All right, so let's take a look at some recent feedback from members of the Inner Circle. These are real tweets from members, as you can see here. Craig Mira is saying back on July 31st, this was the biggest day of my career today. I've said that a couple times this year now. Never would be here without at Epic Trades One. That is David's Twitter handle. And Naveed saying, what an amazing trade by David on Nvidia. Came on the mic and said he's full position, gave me the conviction to buy as much as I could. This has been a glorious trade so far. Candace, on August 8th, last Thursday, calling you the Prince of Volatility. Thank you for your after hours buys and Meta, TQQQ, stock sell. We're going to get into the details of those trades in a little bit, because that was a big day for David and the Inner Circle. Hitesh back on July 31st. What a great pre-market plan and execution by at Epic Trades One. None better than you in reading between the lines and trading Prince, Mr. Prince. All right, so let's take a look at what's been happening in the Inner Circle. We're going to focus on what today's CPI means for the market and how David traded the reaction to that number this morning, how he navigated that huge market flash crash that we had last Monday, even though it feels like that was a year ago and we're in a whole different market now. And then what David would say, or did tell me personally, was his best day of the year so far last week. Now, it is important for us to say that, of course, not every idea works. Inner Circle, of course, does have some losers, but David and the team, they get rid of them fast. They cut those losses and focus on the winners. So we do want to focus on those winners today, but they're money managers. And so, you're not just winning all the time, but you're making up for any losses with wins that mitigate the losses, risk reward, when we're looking at trades here. All right, so let's start with today, David. Today was the CPI day. That number came in lighter than expected. You kind of predicted that yesterday when you and I were live online, but you shorted the Qs after that CPI print this morning. You could see you went short around 8:30. I know you added and trimmed to this position throughout, but you were flat by 20 minutes after the close, 9:52, flat, you're short. And so some feedback from Sam, who is in the room, saying Epic Trades did it again. QQQ short paid with stock and puts. Nothing more to say. Talk about today's This is also feedback from members of the room. Craig saying you explained this well in his morning call pre-market. So those of us in the room had the plan and could execute without thinking. Candace, David's morning call is a must listen. So you laid this out for the team. You know, you came into this thinking maybe the CPI light number may have been kind of baked into the market, and that got you short the Qs. Talk about your strategy this morning and what told you to short the Qs.
Sure. So with the Qs up nearly 10% from Monday's lows, and a lot of our focus names like Nvidia from 90 to 118, 119, and Soxel, which is the ultra for SOX, moving from 23 to 36. We saw these moves that, frankly, I thought we'd have a really significant rally, but not 10% off lows. Everything was a bit stretched, and we've had some good news, and people are a bit calmer about the consumer not being gone and the economy not abruptly coming to a halt. And we also know that inflation's slowing. We got some good news on PPI, and frankly, things were a bit stretched. So I looked at the scenario because we're holding winners and we're looking for new ideas, but a lot of things are stretched, especially if you look at the charts from their 8-day, et cetera. So on a day like today, I said, is there an opportunity today to make money? Is there an opportunity to invest to make money in the next few weeks? And as I looked at all of that, the best thing I saw was not swing. It was short term. I thought a lot was baked in. And I said, any up move in the Qs, it's going to be hard to see a number with CPI that doesn't cause some profit taking. So I think we can have 4 or 5 points to the downside in the Qs after a rally from 420 to 464, 465. I said, this is nuts. We can easily reverse 5-6 points. So into that 463, 464, got fairly short. And I guess I didn't cover the bottom, 461 or so, 460. We took it off, and it was what we call a cash flow trade that I do, often. It just seemed like the perfect setup for a day like today as we manage some of our winners from last week, because there's a little less to buy after this aggressive move we've had. So it was a focus since yesterday. My best trades are not reactionary or planned out. So I said to Inner Circle yesterday, listen, regardless of what happens, a hot number we're going down and a soft number will probably go up and go back down. My favorite trade for tomorrow is probably this trade. So if it sets up, I go after it, and it set up and Qs were higher for a moment, and I took the opportunity to short. And then maybe the best way to describe us, we're in a bull market at the moment. We've had an amazing rally. I don't try and catch the bottom and say, oh, the Qs are getting slammed today, because there was no bad news. There was just maybe a time for a break. So without trying to catch the very bottom and sit in that short, once we're up a few dollars, we took our profits.
Yeah, great. All right. A look at what else you were doing today, just real quickly. You did catch the bottom pretty accurately in DraftKings today. You went long around 10:04 this morning, and you were trimming on your way up. Are you still? I think you're still long.
Yeah, 31.
Right.
No rush to get out. It's with everything moving. I always tell people on a day like last week, we're focused on best in breed, top tier names, right, with earnings at reasonable valuations. And then I'm like, you can worry about the second, the third, the fourth tier names thereafter, because the first ones to bounce are Nvidia, the Qs, et cetera. So now that there's a little less meat on the bone, I'm looking around, and given the time of year into football season, stock's been cut in half. They've actually been performing pretty well as a business. I looked at DraftKings. There was a strong note on it this morning. I said, any dip today, I'm a buyer. So it opened up to, I said, I'm not chasing. I'm a little old, so I don't get excited about like a stock up. I'm not a Momo guy where I just like something's up and I got to buy it. If I'm going to miss it, I miss it. So long story short, it was up a couple dollars in the morning. I said, guys, if it pulls back, I'm interested. But now that it's already gapping up, no interest. Let me know if it pulls back. It pulled back, saw a good level, 31 into recent lows. Bought a half a position because it's a chart that's not perfect. So I always leave some room. And I said, this is a swing, for the next few weeks. I think into football season, we'll probably do pretty well. Business is pretty solid. I got kind of lucky. Stock rallied $1.70 from where we bought it. So I did trim some.
All right, let's take a look at some other recent trades. ELF, you took on some puts last Friday over the weekend, and those exploded off the open on Mondays. And look at your comments on Friday. Said ELF has one precarious chart well below the 200-day and not oversold. You also last Friday, nailed the top of the Qs for a quick short last Friday as well. So, you're short, you're long, depends on the day and what
We're
is
money
happening.
managers. It's for us. There's always core swings, and there's how can we ascertain some cash flow in the meantime while there's less to do in the market, right? Like I was a big buyer of Nvidia last week, 97 through 91. Not so excited up here, but that doesn't stop me from making money if an opportunity comes. So the ones you're pointing to are what we call cash flow trades. Elf had a really not the best guidance in the world. The stock was down. This chart was horrific, and yet it wasn't oversold. So we chatted about it Thursday, Friday, and said, you know what? This has more to go on the downside. How can we take advantage of it without just shorting the stock down 30? And we did it through puts, and it paid off. So
All right.
What we
Great.
did.
So let's talk about what you told me. David texted me last Thursday, guys, and we, was excited about these trades and said, man, this might be my best day of the year. So let's get into those trades. So we've got two TQQQ, SOXL, and Meta longs. So we'll start with TQQQ. You can see here the chart. Those screen grabs are from the Inner Circle alerts section. I'll show you guys the room in a little bit, and you can see how this structure is. But he added Meta, TQQQ, and SOXL. You already had some longs, but you added to those positions.
I owned all three of those. Matt, what do we? Yeah, I owned all three, I believe, already before I bought more of them that evening.
Right. But he added to the position in all three late after hours on Wednesday, August 7th. And all three really popped off the open on Thursday, August 8th. So these charts are going to all look a little bit similar, but this is the TQQQ long chart. You can see adding around like a $51 mark, and you were out around the 57s. For SOXL, same thing. You were adding late after hours on Wednesday, under 26, yep. Out
25,
around
40,
29, 25, 40. All right. And then Meta, you were adding same time around like the 41s, I think, right? And you were out over
481. Yeah, about 5.
Right. All right. So talk about, if you can remember, what happened last Wednesday after hours that you in your mind, you were like, I got to add to these longs, and then talk about how you managed Thursday morning when things just really exploded pre-market.
So I do best when I have a theme and a core belief in a few swing ideas. And it made it really easy for me on Wednesday to execute Wednesday after hours, because those were 3 core investments we made on Monday. So it's just a further focus on the same exact theme. And here was the theme. When we had that flash crash, yen, worries about Nvidia, Blackwell, I basically said, listen, don't get confused with trying to buy 7, 10, 15 different names. A lot of younger traders are like, well, this is cheap and this is cheap. Like, they're all going to move in a vortex together. So the key is to buy enough of the best ones, and when they rally, to actually hold them so you actually make real money and don't take cute little scalps. So our focus was TQQ to represent QQQ, because I thought it would be a vicious snapback rally, and why not make a bit more? So I went via TQQ. Main buys were between 51 and 47s on Monday. Then it was SOXL. And I had started some the Friday before, 28. My main buys on Monday were 25 through 23. And Meta, which I think I bought not as well. Like, I didn't buy that on Monday at the lows of 450. I finally started about 490. So now you have some of those key focus names. My goal is to focus. Oh, sorry. And of course, Nvidia. I bought, that was my biggest buy, between 97 and 91. So that's what we did on Monday. Now into Wednesday, we already had this amazing rally, and I've trimmed some of all of them. But Wednesday, you may remember, we had reversal on the Qs and some profit taking after like a snapback rally of 20 points. We pulled in at the close, and then there was some fear. No real news, just fear, right? Japan was opening, and all of a sudden, you always have a little bit of a delayed reaction where people are like, this is a bad example, but it's the best way to describe it. People's emotions are heightened. So if you're a New Yorker like me, you remember after 9/11, every few weeks there was a bomb going off and people were ducking and everyone was worried. The market's a little bit similar. So after such a fearful, panicky day like Monday, it was only normal. People were going to panic again. What's going on? Is it Japan? And we had that Monday night, not to the same degree, but the futures ticked down. The Qs were down 5 after hours. And I looked and I thought, SOXL back at lows. The SOX is the most oversold index. Fundamentals remain pretty strong. I follow these names from the AMAT and KLAs to the AMDs and, of course, the NVIDIAs. And you know what? This is the most oversold. This rally is just beginning. So I got to add to SOXL. So we saw that under 26, and I got really aggressive there. $25. It's not exactly expensive. And I thought, the SOX is going to rally back to at least the 200-day or back above. So we added back to the position after trimming 28, 29. And then I looked at Meta and I said, well, I didn't get my opportunity to buy right on Monday. That I have to own because for me, it was best in breed as far as the recent earnings reports of Mag 7. 481 down 7 or 8 after hours. That's a buy. It's not 450 like I'd want, but God doesn't make it easy for us. So I got fairly aggressive there. And the other one you mentioned is TQQ, just to represent the Qs. I thought, well, Qs are back to 51. TQQ, why not buy them right back? So I just went back to the very same focus from Monday, reloaded pretty sizable in SOXL, and then trimmed on the way up and still remain long. I got flat TQQ at 58. I remain long a trailer in SOXL, and I still have average Nvidia. I'm not sized up anymore. I've trimmed a lot. And that kind of takes you through because it's just a continuation of Monday. So I hope that wasn't confusing, but it made Wednesday much easier because I just went back to our focus names.
Right. Let's talk about Monday real quick. I think a really good point to make about Inner Circle and what happened on Monday, of course, with the market crash back on 8.5, was how you were able to keep the room calm. You were up at 3 a.m. your time, 4 a.m. Eastern, as soon as futures trading was open, working. And you were doing, you did an early morning call, right? But you were there really for so many of the members as this calm, saying, guys, we need to buy Nvidia. This isn't, the end of the world. And you were able to make big trades that day. Hold on, don't go yet. So Nvidia was the trade of the day for you guys that morning. You can see buying right at the open and out of all of your ads from that morning by 30 minutes later. But of course, continue to trade around at core the rest of the week. And this is a screenshot from the chat that Monday. You can see people thanking David. Help me stay calm. Fantastic morning. Thanks for your guidance. Green morning. A lot of people did not have green morning, but a lot of people in Inner Circle did have a green morning. A calm, perfect guidance this AM. Much appreciated. I had a great morning. And so just talk about the importance of having a community like the Inner Circle on a day like August 5th, when the market is absolutely collapsing, but you guys are able to still have these big wins, have green days, and not be decimated by what is happening.
So here's my alpha, and this is the Inner Circle's alpha. I always tell them, I'm like, guys, I'm really not the brightest guy in the room, but I have a decent amount of emotional intelligence, and I know where to focus and how to deal with heightened emotions. And those are the moments we shine. So I simply said, okay, first off, there are a lot of people relying on me. I don't care if I'm nervous. I can't really let them feel that I'm nervous because we could buy the best thing in the world. And if we're a nervous wreck, we're just going to break it, right? Whatever we capture, if we're not calm, the trade won't go well. We could buy the best stock at the best price if you're not calm. So it's like the first thing is calm. Second thing is let's look at the situation. So I said, this is an opportunity. There's a reason we shorted the Qs. I mean, we shorted the Qs at 500. I have been risk off to some degree for 8 weeks. Even as the Qs were 480 on the way to 500, I was more about stocks. I didn't buy the Qs from 480 to 500. I didn't own them once. And I said, and I've been in the Qs since 260, 270 for 2 years. Constantly own them. And I didn't like the market as a whole. So I said, individual names, that's where we'll get our alpha. And then I looked at Monday and simply thought, wait, we've been risk off. So if this moment came, right? And there was certain names with reasonable valuations that we could look through the drama of the yen, of is Blackwell being delayed? and really say, wait, so now Nvidia's back to 30 times forward earnings or under, growing above 30%, and we don't even have confirmation Blackwell's delayed, and if it is, it might be 6 weeks, and it's already paid for in advance. Take a deep breath. Every time I've bought this stock down 30%, I've made I gotta watch my mouth. I've made a fortune on it. I've done this for 2 years now, over and over with Nvidia, 4 monster longs on these 30% corrections. I'm going after it again. So that was one, and it was just to look through the drama and do it. And then the SOX was leadership of this great bull market for 2 years. AMAT and Qualcomm, KLA, and you can name them. I said, the reason I've been risk off is waiting for this pullback. And historically, when you get an aggressive pullback in the SOX in a short period of time, like 20%, you can bank on it. There'll be a time where you can't, but more often than not, you can bank on it. So I thought, how do we take advantage of it? SOX sell. Now, if that's the bottom, okay. But also the best thing maybe I did was, guys, you have to invest within your means emotionally. Meaning, if you decide this is the bottom. So I started Nvidia, not at 91. I started at 97, right? And I said, if you decide that's the bottom and you get so big and so foolhardy that it hits 91, not only will you not recognize the opportunity, you might sell it. So I think a lot of it was looking at each individual idea we were going into, right? Looking at a correction of 16% in the Qs and feeling pretty good about each individual idea we were buying, including Meta when that joined the party for us, because earnings were fantastic. Given all the spending they're doing, they had an amazing earnings report. They're spending more and earning more. And as advertising is not holding up for many other companies, it's holding up for them. So I just looked at each individual idea and then tried to convey it in a calm fashion. Obviously, it worked. I'm not going to pretend it was easy. Nvidia at 91, I was pressing buy. I was like, I had nerves, but I obviously tried to keep myself in the room calm, and all worked out.
Okay, great. And I mean, it was quite the day for many people, of course, but I think Inner Circle did really well. All right, let's talk about this trade in Nvidia. Obviously, he's trading Nvidia a lot because Nvidia is the market right now. But back on the day Microsoft reported earnings after hours, David was screaming on the mic that this was a buy signal for Nvidia, and it was specifically the CapEx number from the Microsoft report. I had the room open, and I was listening, and he was really excited about this trade. And part of what's really great about listening to David in the Inner Circle is you can tell when he's really sizing up in a position, and maybe you should really size up in a position because you can hear the excitement and all of that. He's not just posting alerts, text alerts where you don't know really what's happening. He's talking to members and he's telling members his thesis and his plan. Like context matters.
Understand why I'm buying something, the reason behind it, what I'm looking for in it. It's a whole lot easier. Not to put other chats down. I'm not a part of this world, right? Like I've only been on one other besides mine. But the one thing I notice is if you don't have confidence, you can't really trade a stock well. And how do you gain confidence by just seeing an alert unless you have some context? So I'm not saying I'm the best, but I certainly try and share as much context as to why I'm doing something because it makes it easier, I think, on everyone. So I think of it as if I was the consumer and I was following someone or at least looking for idea flow, that's how that's how it would work for me. Otherwise, you're just playing copycat. And how do you have a ton of confidence if you're just copying someone? So you want me to go through the NVIDIA? Was that the point? Sorry.
Let's look at some feedback from it, and then you can talk about it. So you can see that these are after hours chat. This is after hours chat. 4:10 p.m. great commentary. 4:16 Nvidia beauty. 4:22 amazing call on Nvidia. 4:23 another sick call at DP. So they're not just trading during the normal session. They are very active after hours when it comes to earnings or pre-market. When it comes to a day like we had last Monday, the room is active. I think it's like 7 a.m. Eastern time-ish, sometimes 3 a.m. if you're David. But, on days that it warrants some after hours action, you guys are definitely
7 p.m. Active. I mean, the market is not something we control. So if events happen, we're around.
You can see here Craig saying it was a slay day after hours edition today in the inner circle, called out Microsoft's CapEx numbers as bullish for Nvidia. We scooped Nvidia and NVDA right around 100 for a huge win. Okay, now talk about the trade and what it was about Microsoft's number that had you screaming to the room to buy Nvidia after hours.
So this is a really simple one to explain. Our core trades, our big success, are kind of planned out events. If this happens, let's look at this. If this doesn't happen, this might be the route we should take. And thus we can kind of, in a really efficient, fast way, just execute rather than kind of think through, what do we do now? Because the market doesn't wait on us, right? So as we saw this huge spending from a lot of Mag 7 names and disappointments in the stocks, I said, listen, because I was bearish a lot of these names as they reported. I said, one I'm most bearish on, just because of valuation that's hard to get really excited about, that I don't think will get you paid, is Microsoft. I think numbers could be fine, but the valuation is hard to get around right here. So I don't think you'll get paid. But how do we look at Microsoft? I said, if they talk a big spend and we get more continuation to the downside, like we've seen with other Mag 7 names, there is one company that bona fide benefits today, that their earnings are affected today. It's not pomp and circumstance and maybe kind of, sort of, but not really. It is they win, and that's Nvidia. So on this print, if we see a huge reaction, I talked about this 2 days before, I'm a buyer of Nvidia. And then we saw a gap fill at this 101 area. Sorry about the dog. And one moment. My wife is a dog now, so guys, stop. Sorry about that, people. So we'll have to deal with this. Anyway, so long story short, what was I up to?
The Nvidia Microsoft.
It was a gap fill at 101. I got to be an aggressive buyer because I simply said they're going to win, right? Sorry about this. How do I? My wife.
In the comments, we got dog interruption gives it authenticity. Sounds like my house. So
my wife
saves
a dog every week. If anyone wants a pretty blonde, tall blonde, and like 5 dogs and 4 horses and chickens, I'm listing them on eBay tonight. Okay.
Yes. All right. Okay. Let's talk about some more trades. I want to get through these so we can make sure that everyone can get there. We can talk about your game plan for the future. I'll mute you so no one can hear your dogs. Amber says you're Prince of the Jungle. That's pretty good. The dog's barking out good luck. This happened on the last webinar, and the next day was great. So we're gonna remember that.
Right.
Your dogs are good luck, David. They're good luck. So maybe you'll have a great day.
Okay. Put my mic there. Okay, I'm back.
You're unmuted. You're here.
But we took advantage of that Nvidia trade, and what I really want to get out of it is just simply that was really about preparation, right? We prepped that one name might be affected by another, but the market might get it wrong and sell it off when in fact it's a positive. So we do that often. We've done it. We once did it in a very big way on Nvidia off of a meta print months ago, where it traded down like 30 one morning or 20, and it was green the same day. That's many months ago. But the point was, it's like a pattern that repeats. And you know, when you're in this business a long time, like me with all my gray, you know what works. You go back to those patterns. It might be a different symbol, but it's the same concept.
David's really good at if A happens, then B. If B happens, then C. He really does come into everything with a plan, and he'll tell you over and over again that's his strength is having a plan. And he doesn't just keep that to himself. He does really lay it out for the room in his morning call every day. This is another big trade. You had 107% gain on these IWM calls. I remember this trade, and there were some in the chat who were a little bit nervous to take this because when you first bought these calls, they were down, but you held out for a week and you cashed out for arguably a huge win, obviously up over 100%. This was back on July 26th. These were longer dated calls.
So
talk about the rally in IWM. Before,
this is a simple one.
Drama.
This is the third trade in that sequence. So all we did was at 201 we got long IWM, and we got long 210 calls, and I said it's time. We're about to have a big move. I didn't believe in this whole Tom rally to 300, but I thought that this is overdue. This rally is going to come, right? So I kept pointing to, if we get through that 210, 211, there's realistically a shot to go to 230, 232. So we got that. That was kind of my goal. I'm like, if that happens, I'm happy as a pig and you know what. So we got aggressively long calls at 201 and stuck. And I think there were the 210 calls. Then they got very deep in the money when it was 215 and we went to 220s. The one you're showing is actually the last part of the trade. And then once we got through 220 and they were deep in the money, we went to 225s. But basically over a period of 2-3 weeks, we were very aggressively long IWM. And I had a little bit left over. I got pretty much flattish and held some by about 225, 224. And then at 221, as the market changed a few weeks ago and we saw the numbers we were getting, and I said, the gig's up. I said, I'm not as smart as Thomas Lee, but you know what? If the economy slows down too much, rate cuts aren't making the IWM go up. These companies still need to prosper and do well and have earnings. So I'm out. So we were flat by 220, 221, and I haven't gone back to it. The only thing I think I did is I called it as that rally recently to 208, 209. I said it's probably a great short opportunity. So I think earlier in the week some people shorted it, but it was a short-term love affair from 201 to about 225. And those calls are just part of that love affair. We had like 3 tranches of calls that went up a lot.
All right, let's talk about this, because this I think was a really great call by you. You and I were on a live stream Tuesday the 24th. I think it was the 24th. Because this happened the next day. And you said to me, well, I see Nvidia going down to like 107. 107 was your level. And that happened the next day. It hit 107, right? Like right under 107 the next day was the bottom of Nvidia, at the end of July, pre all of the drama on 8.5. And so look at the chat. Amazing guidance on Nvidia. You nailed it again. Great big green day and week. My account has never been up this much in one day. You say a lot, these days are special. They don't happen often, but they've been here for like 6 months, and they happen enough that you can make your week, your month, your quarter in the room. It's all such a special place. Talk about nailing that bottom in Nvidia. Your prediction.
What I literally always reiterate, because I'm kind of like the therapist / market old timer who really understands markets and how they work. And what I always point to is the same thing. I said, listen, I don't care about you doing 20 ideas and getting 80% right. I only care about you doing max 7 or 8. Even if you're a hedge fund, get 9, 10. Like I run a fund. I don't need to be in 20 ideas. I need to be in a few and size right at the right time. And that's all we do over and over and over. So Nvidia was correcting from 140. I didn't have a long on for a bit. We watched the correction occur. And when we were at about 115, 120, I said, if this is going to end with a buyable short-term bottom, it's a gap fill that a lot of people saw in the chart. So I just said, I'll wait. Eventually it'll get there. I didn't know it was going to be the next day. We did an interview, I guess, on a Tuesday, because that's when we usually do them. So it must have been the following Wednesday, the next day. We had a gap fill at 107, which was first off an oversold spot. Second off, an oversold spot on the most important stock in the market. Third off, an oversold spot that was the same size correction we've seen over and over again, which is 20 to 22% in Nvidia. Every single time for this great bull market, it's been bought aggressively. So that time I was aggressive yet again. It's the same exact trade we just did at 97 through 91, just at 107. And rather than say, listen, this great bull market will bail me out and it's going to highs, I'm sure I sold most. I have no problem saying it between 115 and 120 because I'm not that bullish the market, or I wasn't at the time. And I thought it was a great opportunity to size up on one of the leaders at the right price and trade it. And that we did.
All right. Again, and it was that group stream that you, me, Kira, and Rick did. So it was on a Wednesday, and then Thursday was the day it happened. I want to show this comment from here in the webinar. Seymour Trade saying you did that Monday last week too. He's had Nvidia's pulse for as long as I have followed him, and you are really on point with Nvidia and the levels lately. Let's go through some highlights. We don't need to detail these, but we just want to show some broader highlights of what Inner Circle has been doing this year, and then we'll get into our special offer for everyone here. So back on June 20th, the semi drop, you and Kira were shorting tech and the semis, and you can see the comments here from the room. So you can see we're both went short there, and then the Qs just fell off a cliff. Big win on Apple Friday, June 21st, before surging on Monday. You went long on Friday, held through to Monday. See the jump there. Amazon right before the jump as well, going long. You can see the chart. This was back on June 21st after one of the hardest weeks of the year. Some feedback from the room. Thank you so much for being loud this week on what you saw coming. I had a fantastic week. Thank you. Best week since I joined. Thank you for great guidance on a crazy week. Some Apple calls back on June 24th into the 25th. You can see that explosion in the chart there after David went long those calls on the 24th of June. A big pop in Nvidia overnight. Of course, we've talked a lot about Nvidia today, but it is a core position for you that you are trading all the time. Now, way back in January and February, you gained a lot of traction for these SMCI trades, your grand slams on SMCI. You went long the stock back on January 19th after a guide up. The Inner Circle team said buy, buy, buy. You were long around 340, and we all know what happened to SMCI from that 340 point. You had set a target of $400 for the days ahead, and we had that target hit by a couple hours later that morning, and of course ran further and further from there. Thank you for the call out under 340. Thank you indeed. You made my morning at 360. You said 400. And of course, got that day. And then again, on the other side of SMCI, when you saw a pullback coming, you went long some puts, and we can see the explosion in the chart there, February 15th. You the man. I took the SMCI 990 puts. 990. Can you believe it was back at that level back then? All out of the SMCI lottos, 75 cents.
That's the day.
$10.
Yeah.
The year maker.
That never happen again. We had puts that went from $3 to $150. I'm sure everyone was out by 100, but that was one of those rare moments. I was also short this stock, but that was a rare moment.
And then Amazon, you and I have talked a lot about Amazon this year. You came into 2024 bullish on Amazon as a Mag 7 name. You said Amazon has a magnet to 188 if Bezos keeps his dirty paws off the stock. And of course, we saw it hit 199 after that comment back in February. 191, I mean. And lots, of course, has happened with the stock since then, Bezos in particular. Biotech has been a great focus for you and the Inner Circle throughout 2024. You were strong on this, or you were bullish on this fund coming into the year. You had a 101 target on XBI for the year and hit that 101 target and more. One of your biggest wins of the year, one of your biggest wins probably in a long time. Jake's feedback on Twitter, Epic Trades One has absolutely killed the XBI trade, immediate follow. And then Micron, you nailed this as well, calling it 99. And this these are screenshots from the last webinar, but it had hit as high as 157 after you said it was riding the Nvidia boom and will be re-rated like Apple. So David, let's talk about what you see happening from here.
Sure.
The end of summer, we have a lot of catalysts coming up. Tomorrow we have retail sales. Next Thursday, the Fed's Jackson Hole Symposium begins. The week after, we get Nvidia's earnings. I think everyone is waiting for Nvidia's earnings. And we get the PCE 2 days after Nvidia's earnings. Big number for the Fed before that September meeting that everyone is focused on. All of these catalysts are coming in the weeks ahead. So talk about what your plan is, what you see happening.
So the first thing is, I think there's some volatility that'll creep into the market yet again. And part of it is because everyone's going away. I've talked to people today. One fellow's off to Sardinia for a week. Another fellow is about to travel the world for a year. Another friend of mine is in Positano. Just punch up your Facebook. Everyone's in Europe and Aspen and doing their thing before kids go back to school. So that sort of time frame, right, means bids aren't around. And you often get like illiquidity, which causes volatility. Next, we have Jackson Hole, right? That's the big event now that we've gotten. Well, we have retail sales tomorrow. First, retail sales. The market is now maybe more concerned with the quality of the consumer and whether the consumer is breaking down and thus the economy more than inflation. So tomorrow's number will be a good test to see if this rally wants to give some back, because if we do see some soft numbers from retail, including, by the way, Walmart, which reports. I'm not saying we're going to have some big dramatic pullback of 5%, but you could see the market give back some of the recent gains. That's probably the first foremost thing markets are looking at. Then Jackson Hole. So you have some people out there who are talking about a mid-meeting cut. Then it has to be 50 basis points. Now you have some people saying, okay, maybe it's only a quarter point. I think we need a really strong performance. Imagine if our Fed chairman says, oh, inflation's moving in the right direction, but maybe the market's a little too excited. Like, why would they ever think 50 basis points? He's not going to speak that directly, but the point is he can kind of make or break the market if he does not acquiesce. He has to basically say the market has a right, consumers softening, and we are on top of things. And if we need to cut further, we will, right? It's not going to tell you the amount or how, but if he kind of pushes the market back and says, listen, inflation is still real and a concern, which I don't see why it would, given we're getting the right numbers, the market again could pull back. And again, a lot of people are away while this is all going on. And then finally, there's one theme that the market's riding, of course, which is AI. If Nvidia basically comes out and talks about the next 2 years and about guidance that people can count on beyond the next quarter, and that Blackwell is not delayed by several months, and that they see the hyperscalers still doing ordering, and they talk about massive countries doing ordering, you can kind of get people excited about the theme again. Now everything's not going to work. People are now finding out some of these players are more hardware players with low margins. We saw what recently happened with Micron and Dell and so many of these names, SMCI. So margins do matter. But my point is they can at least make people feel better about the space. So I would say those are the three big events: retail sales, now that we're through CPI, Jackson Hole, then Nvidia. I am playing it this way. I'm trying to hold my winners as long as I can. Nvidia, Soxel, Immunome, a baby of mine. And I'm a little bit more of a trader here, where I'm prepared for some volatility the next couple of weeks and will be a buyer of pullbacks. I have not been bullish the market for, it's about 3-4 weeks now, where I said, listen, less is more, buy individual names. That's where I see alpha coming through, and I actually see the Qs going down, and thank God I was right. Now I'm more neutral. Pullbacks on the Qs somewhere under 440, I'd start to be interested again and be much more aggressive. I don't think we have to test that 428. Often that's what everyone looks for, and I find it doesn't have to happen. So I'll be a buyer of tech. I think it leads the market. Financials, I don't see a lot of interest here. I don't see much. And then finally, what I want to say is we get closer to rate cuts, I think biotech becomes really important again. And I think that story has legs. It is still outperformed every sector there is. If you look at it on a 3-year basis, there are some quality names with a ton of cash. There are some big healthcare companies with no organic growth that are desperate for growth, that are can continue to buy other companies and build acquisitions. So I think XBI somewhere towards the end of the summer into January is a big winner yet again, which would mirror what we saw last year. I don't hear you.
That was my fault. I was muted. All right, everyone. So real quickly, pop your questions in the chat, and I'm going to go through our offer here for everyone. And then while everyone is still thinking, we'll get to some questions. We have a couple of questions, but I won't keep everyone too long. All right. So first off, we do not guarantee any success in the inner circle. This is a great room of traders, but of course, your success in your trading is based on your own money management. This is for ideas, but of course, we don't guarantee anything.
On that, our room, half of it is money management. It's when to size up, when to size down, when not to chase. Like some guy today said, Amazon, it's going through the moving average, and we got retail sales tomorrow. And I said, listen, you're a sweet guy, but you know better. It's just rallied 20 points. Do you really feel you have an edge in Amazon today after it's rallied 20 points off the bottom? It's probably a little late. Not that I don't like the company. So a lot of what we do is the winner's part, again, is kind of the easy part. It's when to enter, when to size down, when to drink the Kool-Aid because everything's working, and when to maybe step back and be risk off. That's the power of our room.
All right, great. So let's talk about how people can join your room. Typically, an application is required to join the inner circle. And again, that's because of those requirements we touched on earlier, the $100,000 account, 2 years of experience. And again, that's not to exclude anyone, that is to protect people and make sure you can take advantage of the ideas that are going to be presented in this room. You need, those requirements are for people. So, but we are waiving that application for attendees of this event. This so if you buy today, you will have chat access muted, just your ability to ask questions, and that is again to protect the community and make sure that the proper ideas are being shared. If you fill out the application though, and you do prove you qualify, then your chat access will be granted. So you have to work with Amber just to get that chat access. But even if you can't put your own questions in the chat, you can see all of David's ideas. You can see all of the other room members' ideas. So you're getting the benefits and the ideas from the room.
Being really direct.
We're
just yeah. So you got guys running like funds, family office guys in their 70s, 80s, and occasionally you'll get some 26-year-old kid who comes on who's like, "Hey, what's the next idea going up 100%?" So when we're not doing a bio and really getting to know people, I know most people on this chat. A lot of them I've met in person. I know their families. They know my family. This is a way it protects everyone and keeps the community in good standing. So I just want to make that clear, because last time we did no bio and no approval, we got a couple people on who quite frankly weren't qualified to be on, and it messes it up for everyone. So it's not about anyone's a big shot. It's just a way to keep a good quality community and keep the standards up, I guess.
Totally. All right. And so what do you get with your purchase today? A live trading room access with stock and options ideas, access to David Prince, Kira Turner, and Rick March. So it's not just David by himself. He does have a team there, Kira and Rick. We'll look through some of their trades in a bit. Longer term ideas like Amazon or Immunome or Micron. Short term plays also, though, in Nvidia, Tesla, SMCI, things that we were going through today. You get real time analysis of earnings, Fed decisions, economic data as they come out, and access to a community of some of the smartest traders you will ever meet, of course. So, everyone in the chat, it's not just David. He gets ideas from these people in the chat, and some of his best trades come from, comments from someone in the chat. So what have people told us they love about the inner circle? Well, there's a focus on A+ ideas, the right risk reward ratio, focus on smart money management, and that's a really important thing. We're not just here for big wins every single day. You're managing positions, managing money. David is preventing traders from making mistakes as well. I heard you, I think it was this morning, somebody told you they were a little bit nervous about a trade, and you said, hey, then you should get out. If you're nervous and you don't feel confident, you shouldn't be holding it. It's a mistake for you personally. So you're providing that kind of guidance for traders. The team is crystal clear about their ideas and opinions. And of course, they do have some fun. David loves to have
I'm silly.
Rick. David is silly, but he also likes to have Rick do some impressions in the room. So if you're looking for a little entertainment alongside your trading, Inner Circle is great for that. Who is part of Inner Circle? Again, pro traders, hedge fund managers, family office heads, corporate executives, professional poker players, entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, medical doctors, attorneys, etc. So again, they have their share of laughs, but they are really serious about these ideas and making money. So if you're still learning the basics, this is going to be too advanced of a room for you. So Inner Circle, again, is not for beginners, those with less than $100,000 accounts. Any cowboys looking to gamble, we're not here to gamble. We are here to manage money. If you do join today, we do have a couple asks of you to just be cool. Observe for a few days, and then you can start interacting if your application is approved to be on the chat. Focus on ideas. Avoid the random chatter. Don't be asking simple questions, of course, that you can Google, and of course, be friendly. A great way to join is, sit back for a while, observe how the interaction is happening, soak in the ideas, and then interact when you're ready.
Eventually, people, as they understand how to ask things, it really is a community. People help each other to ask questions. It's just you have to know what to ask and what you can find on your own. And what happens that's rare is I team people up together. So one person needs help because they're emotionally just not doing the right thing.
Tell me what you were telling me about before we got on.
I have this wonderful gentleman on the account who's been with Inner Circle for, 3 years, right? And he made like few $100%. He's not a big account. He made a few $100,000, but it started from like $100,000. Anyway, he then bought a property, right? And because he took a bunch of money out of his account, he got overly conservative. So I said, he's a sweet, sweet guy, younger, still learning. He said, I'm now getting too conservative. I said, I'm going to set you up with another friend of mine who's a big trader, manages millions. He's very down to earth, and he's just a nice guy. Well, weeks later, they're like, thank you for connecting us. They now have Zoom calls together where they talk about my morning call and where their focus is. And they'll be like, oh, that's David's bread and butter. We have to size up. The point is they help each other as much as I help them. So, and I've had that. I had another Russian lady recently who she's sweet, but she's taking time to grasp certain concepts. And I said, oh, there's another wonderful woman here who's been with me for years and made 7 figures, and she's gone through it all. You have to talk to her. So it really is a community that helps each other rather than like me, Kira, and Rick just basically pontificating. People actually know each other and help each other.
Mm-hmm. And I think an important point to make is that David's not just here slamming his wins in your face all day, every day. He will tell you when he's wrong. This is a screenshot of a tweet yesterday saying best traders on here show and talk about the losses and the wins. And it's not just on Twitter that you're talking about your losses and wins, but of course in the room, you will say, hey guys, this didn't work out for me. I'm getting out. I'm not risking anymore. It's not worth the risk to me. And again, you're not just going to be getting ideas from David. Inner Circle has a rock star team as well. Kira Turner is one of his counterparts, one of his moderators. So you can see this huge SMCI put trade that she had on August 7th. The puts went from like $5 to $20, and Kira was all over it. While she was buying puts on SMCI, Rick was shorting the stock at the same time. And you can see the feedback here from the chat. Great call, Kira, on the SMCI puts. Made 5 times what I lost last night. Great trade, SMCI puts, flat SMCI, great trade. Kira also booking a quick win on IWM calls back on Fed day, going from $1.50 to like $2.50 in how many minutes is that? 11 minutes. And then Rick booking this $4 profit on his UVXY short in just 20 minutes back on August 6th. So you're getting these ideas as well, not just ideas from David.
Them is, as opposed to what I've seen with some other chats, there's always someone around, right? Rick's been in this business for 40 years. Kira's been trading since the 90s. So not only is it like a well-developed team, but it's not like we disappear and people are gone. So there's a kind of always someone around, which I don't do this, where this is my main focus in business. It's fun to help people, but the whole point was to have a team together so I don't have to just, 24 hours a day be on the chat. So I think we complement each other. Rick's more of a technical chartist. Kira's really good intraday and used to be like a top day trader. Now she does both. So we kind of have a good mix of everything between the three of us.
People want to know how they can join, so let's get into it. Get right into it. Access to this offer is limited. We're limiting this to 25 people because we want to be the best, but not the biggest. So we want the best traders joining this room because you want to work with the best traders. Inner Circle is typically $6,000 per year, and it's never discounted here at T3 Live, but you can start today with 1 month for $700. Now, this does not automatically renew. In order to renew, you will have to work with Amber directly, but you will get 30 days of ideas from the team plus full community access. So for $700 today, also, you'll get 1 year of David's Epic Trades newsletter for free. So the $14.97 bonus will be included with your $700 purchase today. Again, the Epic Trades newsletter are David's highest conviction options ideas and sent out once a week, typically with a really clear game plan. So look at the last big Epic Trades trade that happened. Nvidia calls were a home run, of course, on the 8-5 crash. And again, so even if you decide you're not the right fit for Inner Circle after your first 30 days, you'll get to keep the Epic Trades newsletter and get those alerts for the year. Bonus time number 2, we are hosting a live coaching session with Rick March tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Rick will be teaching you the 4 pillars of great trading to plan, focus, execute, and manage. So everyone who gets an Epic Trades subscription will be part of this, this coaching session tomorrow. I'll be there with Rick at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. So some more feedback about David. This is from July 27th. I cannot overstate enough how much respect I have for your views about the markets in general, how much credence I put into those views. DP, you are from the future. You knew back on July 22nd. Another day that showed Epic Trades One insane skills and how much he actually cares about each member. Batshit crazy respect for him and the group. And then this is a feedback. This is something you sent me today, David, saying we'll be in Sardinia for the next week, so I will trade less. By the way, the only reason I get to travel like this is because of your guidance and the room you have created. Naveed from Twitter saying he's been a member since the inception. Absolutely worth it. $6,000 for David's time and live commentary is a great investment. And remember, everyone, today for $700, you can get 30 days and figure out if it's the right fit for you. So t3live.com/circle to get today's offer. Again, that's $700 for 1 month of access to the inner circle. Your chat capabilities will be muted upon entry until you fill out the application to qualify. You can work with Amber to do that by emailing her amber@t3live.com to get that done. And then that 1 year of the Epic Trades newsletter for David's top options ideas. And then the bonus coaching session with Rick March tomorrow. It's a value of $21.97. You only have to pay $700 today. Again, we're limiting this to 25 people. So go to t3live.com/circle to take advantage today. David, what were you going to say?
I'm not a part of this stuff, so I'm actually asking a live question. Do you allow people, if they fit, is a real trader who understands, to just do the annual so they don't have to spend the extra money, or that's not included?
If they got to work with Amber. If they want to buy the annual, Amber will help them. Amber is there for everyone. Yeah. If you are interested in buying the annual and you say, you know what, you guys sold me today, I want to spend $6,000 and I just want the whole year, email Amber, amber@t3live.com. She will be happy to help you with that. Again, once we hit 25 new members, we're going to be turning this off. So be first in line in t3live.com/circle. And why now? Well, we have some key events coming up in the next 2 weeks that we touched on earlier. Again, tomorrow we're getting the retail sales number. Some are saying that's even more important than the CPI today because the CPI was baked in. And you get a lot more details about the economy from retail sales. And then next week, we're getting the Fed's Jackson Hole Symposium starting. As David said earlier, that's super important for the market. Nvidia earnings are August 28th. We're all waiting for those at this point. And then August 30th, we'll get the PCE price index, which is the Fed's favorite inflation gauge ahead of their meeting in September. So again, t3live.com/circle to take advantage of today's special offer. Let's get to a couple questions as we give people time to purchase and sign up for your room. I just want to scrub. We have a lot of questions, and I'm sorry, everyone, we're not going to be able to get to all of them, but some that I think are important that will give people insight into, how you're feeling about the weeks ahead. I want to talk about Immunome. Somebody asked for your comments on Immunome after earnings. Immunome's been, your baby all year. You're a big investor in Immunome and the story and all of that. So what do you have to say about the stock after earnings?
Sure. Earnings are not relevant for a company like this. This is, a biotech company that is developing drugs for the future, that is having significant trials coming up in phase 2 and phase 3. So earnings as a whole don't matter because they have tons of cash and just did a big raise. To kind of sum it up for people, I did the venture capital money for Immunome with my 2 partners years ago. And recently, one of them was able to take one of the top names in biotech. His name is Clay Sigal, who's the founder of Seagen. He's the reason Seagen became the top ADC biotech play in the universe. He's the reason why Pfizer decided to buy them for $42 billion. Anyway, he came over to Immunome and combined his current company with it. So we're basically a huge long-term player here. We're talking we envision this to be a multi-billion-dollar market cap, but it's a process. Anyway, to make a long story short, when he came over, I said, the market has no clue how powerful this man is. No one knows. So when it was 6 or 7, we were very aggressive with it. It ran to 30 in a matter of, I don't know, it's like 10, 12 weeks. So there were some people that changed their lives overnight because it was really one of my largest positions. So we trimmed down a great deal between 25 and 30. And now, since it's bottomed and kind of found a new comfortable area. They have a ton of capital. They have a lot of success in terms of what Clay's doing. I'm a huge fan here. Every time it's like $12, I add some. And I envision somewhere like probably first quarter as biotech gets interesting again. I think this is well over 20. You have the leading, like top 3 guys ever in the history of biotech, who is so far advanced when it comes to cancer, who can get anyone and their mother on the phone. I don't care if it's Merck. I don't care if it's Bristol Myers. You can pick up the phone and get anyone there. He also is he's dealt with the FDA forever. So I'm really excited about this one. But I'm cognizant, these type of stories, like I bought it, I look like a genius. Everyone made a bloody fortune. And now it's asleep for the past couple months. This is the nature of biotech. I imagine people wake up to it and it's a huge success again. So, they've raised so much capital through some of the largest institutions in the world. People love Clay because they made a fortune with him. So raising capital for him is like, he has a line of institutions to do that. So it's the type of story. They don't need capital. That they're working on their projects. I believe he'll probably make several acquisitions, just like he did at Seagen. He's not just a scientist, he's a businessman, a really smart one at that. So he'll go and make an acquisition of a company who spent $300 million on something, gotten nowhere, and he'll buy it for pennies on the dollar for like $10-20 million, $20 million, and actually make it work. So for me, this is more of a 12, 24 month story. And it worked in the past, it'll work again. I'm pretty confident.
All right, great. While you're answering this question, I've just been showing some testimonials about the room so people can see those. One more question says, people have been obsessed with inflation for 2 years and have shifted toward recession. So how are you seeing this impact the way market reacts to CPI, NFP, et cetera? I think these thoughts are important with the retail sales number coming up tomorrow and then the PCE in a couple weeks.
I think it's knowing what the best way to describe it, what companies can still prosper in an environment where the economy slows down, right? Where it's not just about inflation. Like if the economy slows down, can Amazon still work? Or does a Carvana work? And I'm just throwing out that name. Or is it really back to Nvidia? Knowing what type of stocks work in which environment or how I adjust to that. And finally, knowing what the market's looking for. In other words, what will scare the living crap out of the market, like what we had last Monday, so I can prepare for it. What is the market already built in? And that's how I do it. Generally, though, what I do is in which climate will what stocks work best? So IWM, a couple of months ago, I started to get excited. And a couple of weeks ago, when we got some numbers that showed the economy might be coming to a much more abrupt halt than one would hope, I said, I don't care if we get lower rates. It's still not going to work. So that's how I adjust to the market looking at maybe the economy more than inflation. What will work in what environment?
Great. Somebody had asked how many people are in the room, and to answer that for everyone, it's around 330. And the feedback is that's a lot of people. Thank you. But I don't want to be lost with a ton of comments like in Discord channels. And Amber said there are probably 15 to 20 main chatters. But you're not going to get lost in the inner circle.
Let's just be
talk about how the.
If I wanted to be like 1,000 people, it would. This is not. That has never been the point of you really have to send in a bio and get approved and all that. A lot of these guys, I'm being direct with you, like you think there are guys there who are 75 years old who message me on the side and talk on the chat once a day. They're not there to show off and be like, I bought Nvidia and I sized up and killed it. These are like adults who have run millions of dollars for many years. So this is not a chit chat where you get lost. And then there are those who are more active traders, like my friend Craig basically follows me all the time, but he also follows me via, let's say I'll be buying size in Nvidia. He'll buy size in the money calls on Nvidia. So he's more active. But the point is, it's not a chat where there's a lot of like time wasters. Most people are adults with kids, some with grandkids. So I've never been on Discord, but I can promise you this ain't anything like Discord. This is not that. These are some grown-ups. I have a buddy on the chat. I can't say his name because he's really modest, who ran one of the biggest firms on Wall Street. I mean, Bonafide ran one of the most important firms on Wall Street.
Yeah, just remember, guys, these are guys who are running firms, hedge funds,
he's not
big family accounts. They're not like showing off all day long. Naveed from Twitter, just to answer, you know, he
I gotta
says
say
his
one
morning
thing.
call gives a rundown for the day. Hold on. That includes day trades and swing ideas. If some setup develops, then David, Kira, Rick, they come on the mic and they get you through the trade. They're guiding you through it. And he says the chat is not overwhelming at all, like a Discord channel. These are people who are in the room with David and have some feedback for you guys. What were you going to say, David?
So the guy that just spoke, if anything, I
Mhm.
want him to speak more. So that's the guy who's made like serious seven figures in the market, like
Mhm.
3 years, and has killed it and has learned from the beginning. If anything, I'm trying to get some of the people to speak more that have
Mhm.
killed it. They speak, but my point is people don't waste time. So if anything, our issue is sometimes I'll say, hey, listen, that was a great idea. Next time we give us a heads up and talk more about it. So the crowded is not the issue because that I won't allow because no one needs that. If anything, I
Mhm.
want a few people to maybe speak up a little bit more.
Okay, so let's address this really quick. Christopher's asked, does David share some execution strategies / ideas within the inner circle that are actionable for people not in front of a screen during
Oh, yeah.
market hours, e.g. due to time zone difference? And then he followed up saying, how does that look in practice? Since it seems like most of the ideas are shared live based on intraday events.
It's so easy.
So talk,
Yeah,
just to kind of lay out how you do your morning call and
sure.
all of it for
Chris,
everybody.
every day at 8 o'clock, I do a morning call. Hey, these are the events of the day, the week, and the month. This is what I think is a cute trade for today that might work. And this is a core idea that at this level, I like that I'm a buyer or I'm shorting. And I think we can swing this and then we have a big edge with a great risk reward. And I have several buddies who are surgeons, doctors, got a guy in software who sometimes be like, oh, dude, your morning call set me up. And I've literally had this, no joke. This is because I wish I had the picture. His name's Aaron. Oh, that's Lee. His name's Aaron. Funny enough, he's from North Carolina. And he sent me like a shot from a plane. He'd be like, oh, I killed it off the AM call. I'm flying to Nebraska. He's always flying on planes. And he's like, I killed it. The point is the AM call is kind of the cornerstone of the chat. And that happens at 8 o'clock Eastern time, where we talk about levels and what stocks we like, what stocks we don't, and how to plan out your day, month. So yes, this is by no means a day trading room. Now, will there be ideas you just missed because they came about at 10:30 a.m. and the markets has some volatility and you're a doctor and you're in, I don't know, a room with a patient? Yeah, sure. But a lot of our established ideas are all thought out in advance and talked about on the AM call. So that would be the direct answer to your question.
Great. Somebody wants to know why is Russell IWM the big laggard when guaranteed rate cuts are coming?
Oh, that's really easy, Mike. So these are not the best in breed stocks. Since the beginning of time, some of the worst companies in the United States of America reside in the Russell. And those companies often carry a decent amount of debt, and a lot of them don't earn money. So if the economy is about to have an abrupt slowdown, like everyone was concerned about, and the consumer is spending less money and everyone's going to earn less money, you know who's going to get stretched the most and who's actually might have to raise capital? It's not going to be about earnings. It's Russell 2000 companies. So really simply put, the Russell works when you have free money and you have the consumer spending and everyone feels good. If the consumer starts to get soft and people really worry about an economy where people are not out there spending money and traveling, then I don't care how many rate cuts you have, that's going to take some time. Now, if it's a softer landing and people aren't so worried, that index will reinflate again and perhaps be okay. So right now the market's concerned with, ooh, it's not a perfect landing, and that's where the Russell became risk off for a bit. If we go back to, oh, it's a perfect landing and we're getting several rate cuts, then the Russell can work. I don't think the Russell's going to work like everyone hopes and we're going to 300 in a straight line. To me, that you need a lot of free money. In other words, you need low rates. We're ways away from really low rates. So I think of it more as a not the best index, but there are moments in time I'll get aggressive. It was a great trade for us this year. If the economy turns out that it's slowing, but not very aggressively, and you're getting several rate cuts, you're in business and it could work again pretty well.
Okay. Chris said, thanks for the answers. Much appreciated. Looks like the morning call is at midnight in New Zealand, worst time zone for US markets. Ugh. But just the morning call is recorded and posted. So if you wanted to listen to it at a different time during the day, it is there
Yeah.
in the alerts for everyone. I really
We have a
quickly,
lot
I
of
do
people
want
in Europe. New Zealand, though, is a hard one. But I do have
to,
buddies
it
in
is.
China and India who are on the chat and prosper. I want to make that clear.
All right, I want to show everyone what the inner circle looks like really quick. So this is a look at the room. So you can see here, this is the alerts section. So this is where you can see David posting his thoughts and everything, but also his trades. So started small, QQQ short, covered some QQQQ, covered more QQQ, flat. So you can see this is where the trades are being posted. Kira, Rick, David. If you scroll up to the top of today, you can see the link. This is where his morning call is posted. So you can watch that at any time, listen to that anytime. Down here is the main chat. You can see this is where everyone's chatting throughout the day. And you'll see there are some main participators in this chat. But asking questions from other chat members, but also from David, also from Rick. Rick will sometimes post some options flow in here, but the chat is mostly just ideas, and it's not just David and Rick and Kira, but it's everyone sharing ideas. And then you have the lounge where you guys can talk about some things that aren't necessarily market related, but the main chat is market related. So this is what the room looks like, just for everyone who's never seen one of our virtual trading floors. This is how Inner Circle is organized. All right, so again, everyone, really quick, we are getting toward the end here. Again, 25 people we are limiting this this offer to. So t3live.com/circle is for today's special offer, and it's again, you can pay $700 for 1 month of access to the Inner Circle. And a great question, Jim, asking, what do we mean by no chat capabilities? Yes, that means you can see the chats. You can see everyone's chats. You just can't speak and type yourself until you qualify by filling out the application. And that's just to keep things clean so that we don't turn into a Discord channel where people are asking all kinds of questions or showing off or doing whatever. We want to keep this a beneficial community for everyone. What were you going to say, David?
I was just going to make, because that part I almost heard and I was like, is this clear? So it's real simple.
Right.
So we don't have 25-year-olds who are talking nonsense about nonsense. They're asking you basically to fill out like a 2-second form. It's like literally, how long are you in the market? How much money do you run? What's your
expense? And Amber is quick. If you fill out that form,
and you do that, and you're a grown up, and I can't wait for you to speak in the chat. This is so people are forced to do that, which will take you 2 seconds. If not, and you're on the chat, you see everything that goes on the chat, but basically you won't be able to ask questions until you fill out that form. Am I understanding?
Exactly. Yes. So they'll be able to see.
Anyone can be off mute if you just fill out the form.
Right. And you'll be able to see the chat. You'll be able to see the ideas. You can take advantage of the ideas. You just can't chat yourself until, again, you fill out the application. Amber is really quick at getting people through that application. And if she sees that you're qualified, chat turned on. All right. So $700 for your month of access to the Inner Circle. Does not auto renew. You will have to work with Amber to renew. For free, you're getting that 1 year of the Epic Trades newsletter for David's top options ideas for a year. And then that group coaching session with Rick March, that's happening tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. This is the first time Rick has ever done any type of coaching with us here at T3 Live. So we're excited about it, and it is going to be a great thing. So $21.97 total value. You pay $700 today. So t3live.com/circle. Again, we are limiting this today to 25 people. So please make sure to get over there as quick as possible. I've been talking with Amber. Sales are coming in. She's talking with a bunch of people. So your spot in line is running out. David, we've been here for over an hour. I want to let you get to your family for the evening. So any last points to make for anyone who wants to join?
Yeah. Best thing I can say, since we spent all this time, I bona fide know for a fact I built better community than 90% of the people that are out there. If you're looking for a community, and like I have guys, right? I have a buddy who runs a fund. It's a smaller hedge fund and they focus on IPOs. But the point was he's still learning. And I was like, he really needed to learn how to gain alpha and understand the markets. And he got to know me. And like now, like in the beginning, I think he was just a trader at the fund. Now the kid's like running this fund. It's small, and it's not a big shot fund. It's like $50-100 million fund. But my point is, it's a community where people really learn how to run money. It's not just like stock jockeys throwing out ideas and charts. So if you want to win and like keep winning and not get crushed and learn how to manage money, I lose. You know, I have losses all the time, but I have way more winners and I make a lot more money than I lose. If you're up for that, it's kind of special. Like I have friends that have come to meet me in New York, Texas, stayed at my house. It's a definite community way beyond anything else, where people know each other, care about each other, know what each other. I had another buddy whose daughter got married this weekend, and like it helps that it's a community. So I think that's maybe our biggest plus.
I agree. All right. So everyone, to join this community, if you want, go to t3live.com/circle. David, I'll let you go for tonight. And anyone who joins tonight, you get access tomorrow morning. So you get that morning call at 8 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. You can start executing David's ideas alongside him tomorrow. Again, retail sales report is tomorrow, and everyone says it's going to be a big one, including David. So you want that plan in the morning before that number comes out at 8:30. All right, David, have a great rest of your night. Everyone else, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining, people. Have a great night.
Bye.